Hey, Sammer.
Hey, Jen.
What are you listening to this week? Welcome to What Are You Listening To This Week, the weekly podcast where we talk about our favorite songs. Some old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by Sammer Abousalbi, co-founder and co-host of the Super Awesome Mix Network and Super Awesome Mix podcast. Did you know that now on Spotify you can listen to the show with the songs we discuss incorporated? Just search for What Are You Listening To with Music. If you're not listening on Spotify, be sure to give the playlist a listen and then tune into our conversation. With that, let's get started. Sammer, what are you listening to this week?
All right, I got 2 tracks this week. Both of them like on the upbeat side. I remember one of the times I came on. Actually, I would argue all the times I've come on your show so far, they've been a little. Right. They've been a little sad. And I was like, you know what? I don't want everyone thinking that I'm sad, because I'm not all the time. I'm actually quite a happy person. I'm kind of addicted to downer songs. I don't know why. Maybe it's my outlet. But with that, let me introduce my first song I'm listening to, and it is Cloudy Day by Tones and I. I can't think of a more joyful song, honestly. Like, everything about this song is just pure joy. I love what she's singing. I love lyrically. It matches the tone and the beat. You know, it's not one of these songs where you're like happily singing it and then you realize it's about something awful, which has been happening to me so much ever since starting our podcast. I know. Songs are being ruined by the lyrics.
Well, I'm looking at you, Death Cab for Cutie. Like, they're ones that always sneak in, you know, like these deep lyrics when you think you're singing a happy song.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So this is just like a great matchup between the lyrics and the hopefulness of the sound. I mean, absolutely love the story behind it too. I think it's really powerful. She had just lost, someone, and she found that she couldn't write music anymore. Like, she just lost her muse, I guess, in a way, which is totally understandable. And she had a conversation with, I believe, if he's not still, but he was certainly then the president of Sony in Australia, who said that his mom would always say, you know, whenever you have a cloudy day, look for the sun. And she went home that day and sat down and wrote the song and recorded it. So it kind of broke her free from this period in her life. And I just think that's so powerful. And I think that comes across in the song because it's so genuine. Like her kind of looking for the future and looking for the sun in like a dark period in her life. So for all those reasons, I am addicted to this song, and it is a very happy and hopeful one.
I completely agree. And I as well, I love the song as well. And I was only familiar with Tones and I from Dance Monkey. That was the only song I had ever heard. And so I was like, what's Sammer bringing this week? You know, that seems like an interesting pick. And so when I listened to this, and that was the first time I'd heard it, same thing. I wrote a note and said, I dare you to be sad while listening to this song, right? Between the bass line and the horns, there's just no way. There's no way. Yeah. And then again, the chorus, like you said, that she keeps repeating, but your mama always said, look up into the sky and find the sun on a cloudy day. And it's a great message. It's a great line. And it's just wrapped into a song full of really hopeful messaging. And I did not know that it was about her losing someone, but I will share a story and also thank you, because whenever I got your song or got the song for the playlist, it was actually on the anniversary of my mom passing, of me losing my mom. And so it just hearing this song and then hearing that lyric specifically, just realized it reminded me of how sometimes a song can just save you. You know, It can change your mind. It can make you feel better, or it can just make a really hard day easier. And so that's the first thing I want to say about that too, is just thank you. You know, it really did. It was a sad day, and it's sometimes a hard day. And then this song just popped up. I'd never heard it before. And then it had the perfect message and the perfect lyric for me on a day that's a hard day. So again, speaking to the power of music and the community it creates, I love this song for a lot of reasons, but that's probably the biggest one.
Wow. Well, wow. I mean, that's all I can really say. That's amazing. I'm sorry to hear about that, but I'm very happy to hear that you could find some joy in this. Like that's so cool.
It is. And it's funny. It's always like, do you say anything about that or do you not? But I think that that's what connects me to music, or one of the main things is just the way it can express feelings that are sometimes hard to talk about, and you can really like rally around a song instead of having a really hard conversation, or instead of crying, you can listen to a song that makes you smile. And so that's what this song delivered. And so I'm grateful that you introduced me to it, because I know it's one that I'll go back to. And then you kind of took us like a hard left, Sammer. Tell me about your second pick.
Yeah. Right. It's going from something very kind of serious and hopeful to something so silly. And so I went with Angelica by Wet Leg, which I've featured on our first show, on the mixtape show, before. And it's so good, it's worth featuring again. So the reason that Wet Leg, which I'm just so dead at their name. I love their band name.
Me too. Always have.
Yeah. Like, what an image. Like, it immediately puts an image in your head, right? It's like one of these words that you just have to like pay attention to it when you hear it. But I had like been reintroduced to Wet Leg because I've been watching the show Bad Sisters on Apple TV and really, really like it. I like wasn't sure I was going to like it in the first episode, but I stuck with it. So just in case you haven't watched it and you're curious, stick with it. It's like one of those shows you need it to like marinate a little bit, and then it's really good.
Okay.
But there's a scene in it that a character is dancing to a song by Wet Leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of had forgotten about that album, because now, doing the podcast that we do, I'm just constantly under deluge of new music, and it's really easy to lose like things that are in your library. So re-listen to the album, absolutely adore it. This is one of my favorite songs on it, for so many reasons, and I just like, again, I love the lyrics. I think they're hilarious. I think like her whole experience about being at this party that she doesn't want to be at, but also kind of like the futility of it, because it seems that she keeps going back to this party even though she doesn't want to be at this party over and over again. And I just feel that way. Like that could be a metaphor for just about anything. Sometimes you just keep showing up to a party, whatever that party is, and you don't want to be there, but you just keep bringing yourself back there anyway.
Totally. And I was so glad that you brought Wet Leg. I don't think we've had a Wet Leg song on the show yet. And I love this whole album. If you haven't listened to it, it's an easy listen. It's 12 songs. It clocks in at under 40 minutes. I think it's like 36 something. So it's a quick listen. You can get, the whole album in less than an hour. And every song is like weird and kooky. And if the only song you know of them is Chaise Lounge, like definitely, or Chaise Long. I'm like it's like
right.
Trying to say that name right, Chaise Long. Like if that's the only song that you know by Wet Leg, definitely go and check out the whole album, because I think there are so many other songs that I might have released as the single that were not Chaise Long, but it's a good, like all of them are good, and Angelica is a favorite. And I also too, I love their sort of deadpan delivery. They have these parts in a lot of their songs where they come in and it's almost like female modern like Pavement vibes, because they just come in and are so deadpan about what they're saying, and it's oftentimes something ridiculous that they're saying, like you would expect with a band name like Wet Leg.
Right.
And it just makes you laugh and makes you happy. And there's a line in the song where it says, sometimes life gets hard to deal. I like you. You've got sex appeal, but I don't want to follow you on the gram, and I don't want to listen to your band. And I was just like, that sounds like perfect party conversation. And so yeah. I do.
I love that. Yeah, those are the lines that have always stuck with me too. In that song is like it's. I take it also as just like how exhausting life is these days, because everyone is just constantly trying to get you to like follow them and like things and. But obviously outside of all of those requests, be sure to like and follow all of our podcasts. Like we have great content.
We really do. Like we know how exhausting it is, but please go do it.
Do it for us.
Do it for us.
Yeah. So those are my two songs, but I feel like your two were also very different than mine. So tell me about what you've been listening to.
They were. I think that apparently the assignment that we didn't know we got was you pick really fun party music and I'll bring some moody duets. Go.
Yes.
That's what we did. So yes, for my first pick, I picked a song called 3 Hour Drive by Alicia Keys. Now, this is a song off of the Alicia album. It came out at the very end of 2020. And this song is actually a duet that she does with a British artist named Sampha. And it's one of my favorite on the album. I just think that it's, when I first discovered it, I thought it was sort of one of those classic, like he said, she said songs, like Someone That I Used to Know by Gautier and Kimbra, or Exile by Taylor Swift and Bon Iver. Like, that's what I thought I was getting. And then when you listen to it, it's like so many bold choices that probably only an Alicia Keys could make. The song is a vibe from beginning to end. It sounds like driving around in a car on a rainy day. You even actually get like these water dropping noises at different points in the song. It's really textured. And then she makes this insane choice to have both verses be exactly the same words. They don't change. So she sings the verse and then Sampha sings the exact same verse. And it's amazing because even from the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh, this is like a breakup or a he said, she said song. And she sounds really hopeful and he sounds really sad. So, he must have gotten the short end of the stick in the breakup. And then, thanks to another favorite podcast, maybe my second favorite after Super Awesome Mix.
Sure, yep.
A little podcast that maybe you've heard of called Song Exploder. Did an episode where they featured this song, and it meant something completely different than what I thought. Alicia Keys was writing it about this period of time where she was away from her children to record the album, and she was a new mom. And so all of this to her is about like bringing these children into the world and being their mother. And Sampha had just lost his mother. So they're singing again about the same thing in really different spaces. And so it was, again, one of those interesting things. And I love it when a song can totally reinvent itself right in front of you, and that's what it felt like. I loved this song for one reason. And then again, from Song Exploder, heard a little bit more about it and loved it again for an entirely new reason.
Yeah, that is so powerful. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I had the benefit of just being able to like look at the research and everything, and or do the research and kind of read about that. So I didn't, because I hadn't heard the song before you introduced me to it. But immediately at first I just listened to it and I was like, wow, this is like a really smooth kind of like R&B ambient like vibe to it, like almost very meditative. But then reading all about it, I was like, that. I mean, I could see that because it's almost like this. The circle of life, to borrow a phrase from Lion King.
You've still got Disney on the brain, I see.
I do, yes. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, people come and go in your life that are super meaningful, and what does that all mean? And I think that the way that then they, have the song produced where they're singing the same thing like you brought up, it's so powerful because it really does intertwine all of it. And I think that's, again, kind of the message of the song is it's all intertwined. It's like hard to disconnect the two. You can't have one without the other. So beautifully done. Really, really amazing track.
Yeah, I agree. And also, too, like Sampha is worth checking out. If you're not familiar with him, he's actually got a really interesting catalog of music and is kind of jazzy, kind of bluesy, just really great as well. So that's another little tidbit that goes along with that song. And then for my second song, I picked a song called Come With Me by Surfaces. This is another band that I love. They are a Texas band, although so many people that I meet think that they're from California. And I think it's because they sound really California. And their album names, too. They have an album called Surf. They have an album called Pacifico. So I was like, oh, maybe that's why people think they're from California. But they actually came out of College Station, one, and another, one of the guys in the band is from Baylor, I believe. But yeah, they are a Texas band. That somehow always managed to transport me to California. I feel super California vibes from their songs. And And this one I just think is so pretty. I think it's so mellow, and it gives me kind of Fleetwood Mac vibes a little bit. So it's really different from some of their hits like Sunday Best or Sheesh or I Can't Help But Feel. You know, some of the songs that that people know from them. I feel like this song feels really different. So I don't know. Are you familiar with this band? Had you heard the song? What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I was not familiar with the band or the song, but I really, really dug this song. Like, I loved the vibe of it. It kind of reminded me of the type of music I would play when I was a spin instructor for either kind of warm up, like as people were coming in, like you're trying to set that vibe and like get people into like a mood and get them moving, you know, ever so slightly, or like a really good cool down, like you finished it. And again, you're just trying to like bring the energy back down to like a very nice place like that. To me is immediately what I thought this song would be good for whenever I started listening to it.
Yeah. And lyrically too, I feel like this is a strong song for that, you know, that they do a good job of sort of, I think, painting that picture of how you feel when you're excited and all you want to do is be next to the person. There's a great line that says, "It's a new place if we close our eyes and paint a new way, 'cause somewhere is wherever you say." You know, I was like, oh, yeah. That's so sweet. I love that line. I've always loved that line. And then that's sort of in the male part of the song. And then whenever Salem Elise is who comes in to sing the female vocals, and then she starts off super strong lyrically with, "You take a Wednesday and you make it seem like it's the best day of the whole wide week. You got that PCH type of energy without the traffic." And anybody who's ever traveled to or lived in California knows that PCH is the most beautiful drive you can ever take, the Pacific Coast Highway, Highway 1, if you're not stuck in traffic on it.
Exactly. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, you know, Hollywood / Instagram versus reality, where they've always just show it as like you're in the convertible, the top down, there's no one else there, sunny sky. In reality, it's just a bunch of cars honking at each other and like 4 hours of traffic. Yeah.
You're just sitting there waiting to get 5 miles down the road.
Exactly.
Could be an hour, could be 2. You don't know.
Exactly. No, it's so cool. Yeah, I really loved the song like a whole lot. I was vibing to it from the moment I hit play. I really liked it.
Yeah, and they're a band that you can kind of put on shuffle, and they're gonna take you on all kinds of emotional rides. You know, some songs are really upbeat and silly. Some of them are really moody. Some of them are just kind of like fun rock bop songs. You know, like they really do have a lot of variety, I think, in their catalog, and so they're a fun band to just put on and just hit shuffle with everything. So I'm glad that you like them.
Yeah, thanks for introducing me.
Of course. Well, I'm so happy to have you back on the show, Sammer. It's been a while. Thank you for bringing such upbeat, happy songs this time.
You're very welcome. I'm sure I'll course correct next time. It's just going to be real sad, especially with a new Death Cab album coming out soon. So
it's coming. It's ready. Coming. I know. Well, and then I'm sure I'm going to torture everyone with, like, you know, the Taylor sadness whenever we get this new album that I'm you know, anxiously awaiting. So we'll just keep each other in line and make sure we're not getting too sad all the time, Sammer.
Exactly. Always got to look for the sun. Yep.
Exactly. Well, if you are not already following Sammer and Super Awesome Mix, please do so on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Give us a follow and find news and updates for both Super Awesome Mix and What Are You Listening To? And please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.